Welcome to this three-part mini-series on shamanic healing techniques. Shamanism is an ancient wisdom system that is practiced around the world and has been practiced around the world for millennia. Shamans are the doctors, the mediators, the educators, the diviners, the ceremonialists of the communities in which they live. We will look at three shamanic healing practices in this mini-series. And we're going to begin with power retrieval. Now, power retrieval is a very important process that helps people who are feeling a sense of lack of vitality, a sense of loss of confidence, or people might feel that they're having a series of bad luck. And this is often indicative of some kind of power loss that they are dealing with. And power loss occurs when you've been exposed to some kind of negativity or difficult situation over time. So for instance, if you have a critical parent, or if you have a boss who undermines you at work, or if you have a relationship that where your partner is not particularly supportive, these can all create a sense of drain or power loss. And some of the symptoms that people deal with can be ameliorated with power retrieval. Now, I'm getting ready to tell you about a form of power retrieval that was told to me by one of the people that I was studying with when I was actually studying pottery. One of the ways that I came into learning about shamanism was actually through art. I was very interested in learning about pit firing techniques. So I began studying with a group of Pueblo potters. And they are the ones who introduced me to the people in their community that practiced shamanism. And this is a story that one of the potters told me about a friend in the community who had been struggling with alcoholism and depression. Now, it's important to note that power loss is often at the heart of many addictions. And in fact, I have seen in my practice in applied shamanic counseling that it is very common that people will turn to addiction in an effort to ameliorate the power loss they feel. They're trying to use the addiction to kind of make that draining feeling go away. And so doing a power retrieval will help someone who's dealing with addiction get to a place where they have more ability to be able to resist the addiction and be able to break any kind of physical addiction that they may have, or emotional or mental. But it's the physical addictions that are often the hardest to break, just in terms of moving away from the substance. So in this case, the person who told me this story was clearly understanding that power loss was at the heart of this addiction, or that the older woman who was the shamanic practitioner in this case was understanding that there was power loss at the heart of this addiction. So this young man had recently returned to the community and had a very hard time readjusting to the community and was sort of hanging around and not doing much. And finally, his family members brought him to this older woman who asked him some questions, and she was very clear in that he needed to want to be able to break these addictions if she was going to be able to help him. And he didn't give her any kind of indication that he had the ability to really be able to gather his power to him. So she decided to do something which I thought was rather unorthodox at the time when my potter friend told me this story. She took him down to the quarry and threw him in to a quarry that was filled with water. It was filled with water. But it was kind of a surprising idea because he did not know how to swim. So she waited, and he was flailing around and wanting to get out. And finally she said, "Well, do you want to live or do you not want to live?" And he said, I want to live. And then she hauled him out with the rope. And I was astounded when I heard this story. And I was trying to figure out, what is this? What kind of healing is this? And it wasn't later until I was formally studying different forms of healing with another shamanic practitioner that I learned that this was indeed a power retrieval. And what she had done was she had created the circumstances for this young man to actually want his life energy, to actually want to live, and that he had actually captured his own power and retrieved his own power in his statement, yes, I want to live. Because up until then, everything that he was doing was indicating that he didn't want to live. The addictions were depleting his life energy, and his depression was draining him of vitality. And so it was after this process of power retrieval that the older woman then did a ceremony where she did call the helping spirits of this person to him and bring those helping spirits into his life in a way that he could actually hold on to. And when I asked about this ceremony, when I asked my Potter friend about this ceremony, he said, well, if she had called his helping spirits to come and assist him, he would not have been able to recognize them, and he might not have even wanted to embrace them because he was not interested in living. He had to become interested in living. He had to want to reclaim the power of his own vital energy before she could bring the power of the healing spirits to him. And it was a very important lesson for me in terms of helping people understand the importance of the desire to become engaged with their own healing practices. And this is one of the big events for me that helped me develop the applied shamanic counseling processes that we use in the applied shamanic counseling processes, which are about engaging people in their own healing. And I think that this is very important. And I think that if you perhaps are struggling with some kind of loss of vitality or some kind of feeling of bad luck or some kind of chronic problem, it would be helpful to look around in your life and see, are you perhaps in a relationship that's not serving you? Or would it be a good idea to try to find another job where you might feel that you're meeting your potential better? And if you realize that, if you say, well, yes, those things would help, but I just don't know how to get there, then think about doing a power retrieval. And think about finding a shamanic practitioner who can help you reclaim your connection with your own life energy, and then who can help you bring the helping spirits that, from a shamanic perspective, are all around us in the forms of nature. And you may find that you're able to step into a new way of being and a new way of working and living in the world.